You know, we've been in the pickup business for a long, long time. We've wound, wire wound pickups for sound hole pickups for acoustic guitars. It's not a big part of our business. Most of our pickups are piezo in nature, piezo polymer or hard ceramic piezo, but we knew about winding, and you know, I kept looking at ways to expand our product line. Always kind of thought we might be able to do something with electric guitars. Loved electric guitars, loved electric guitar pickups, but really didn't feel like there was anything substantial that we could do that was going to be better than the major companies out there. But I always said if we came up with something substantially better, we would enter the market. And lo and behold, 3 years ago, we found out, we were introduced to a physicist who happens to be a guitar player, and he worked for a company in upstate New York, and he had gotten a patent on a method for doing high-density, multi-layer printed circuit board coils. And after talking to him, we were intrigued, and I said, sure, I think that there's a good possibility we can do something there. I have no idea how it's going to work out, but we'll take a stab at it. And I ended up licensing the basic technique for building this, which we now call the Fluence core. It's a very clever way of interconnecting 50 layers of circuit board here through these little tubes, these little vias, and each layer has a racetrack of printed circuit on it that's shaped like a coil. So what this yields is a precision-made coil. It's made with optical, modern printed circuit board manufacturing techniques. It's absolutely rock solid, single piece, nothing microphonic about it. There's the exact inductance that you need every time, very, very high tolerance, practically indestructible. And it's just, you know, a beautiful mechanical thing that I was attracted to, and I said, come on, let's see if we can do something with this. So as it turns out, this solves a lot of problems right out of the gate. So if you're winding a fine wire on a spool, like a spool of thread, that type of form, it goes on pretty smoothly. But once you have an oblong coil, like electric guitar pickups require, that wire has to go over the edge every time, and there's got to be a tensioner, and it stretches a little bit as it flaps over the edge, and then the tension comes off. And it's a trick to keep consistency in winding. And we knew that from our experience with our magnetic pickups. And I really didn't know what the inconsistencies were going to look like with other manufacturers for electric guitar pickups. I suspected it was an issue, but having not made them, I figured, yeah, they got it solved. You know, looking at the way they've been making pickups literally for 80 years, every pickup, almost every pickup in the world is, well, the first electric guitar pickup was invented by a guy named George Beauchamp, and he designed it for the Rickenbacker company for their frying pan. Every pickup, every major pickup company in the world would be violating his patents today if those patents were still valid. Nothing's changed. That doesn't seem right. I mean, you don't build houses with hammers anymore. You use nail guns, right? You know, you don't fly planes without radar. So Christ's sakes, it's 80 years later, let's try something different. We decided to go low inductance, and we decided to go active. And this is like, oh my God, I got to put a battery in my guitar. Well, you know, we thought about it. We said, well, we have this cool structure, and we have control over things now that we didn't have before. But that's really not that revolutionary. We'll give you more consistency, but we, again, be making what everyone else was making. I said the real key here is if we go real low inductance and start with a flat responding coil and learn a lot about what makes the pickups, traditional pickups, the ones we love, sound so good, maybe we can learn how to voice our pickups and have multiple voices in each pickup and really give people something useful. We're not talking about a weird sound or a weird looking pickup. Our pickups look just like everyone else's. There's our modern, there's a tele pickup. I mean, one of the goals was we don't want to freak people out with something that's weird, because guitar players like the way their stuff looks, their gear looks. These are going to go in old guitars and new guitars, so we decided to make a pickup that our pickups look like traditional pickups. But what we've done is taken an incredibly reproducible core And here's where that became important. We went out because we had a lot of catching up to do, and we chose the best-selling humbucker in the United States. I'm not going to say who it is, and I'm not bashing my competitors either. And we bought a couple of them to measure, and we came up with a measurement tool because we wanted to see exactly where the resonances were and the output levels and stuff. And I thought one of them was broken when we measured. So I said, uh-oh. So we went out and bought 6 more. And they were all over the place. And we bought 6 more. And out of the 12 pickups that we ended up with, 3 of them were pretty close, and the rest were all over the place as far as consistency. And this comes from a good manufacturer. I know these guys, they're careful. It's the basic nature of what you're doing is so unpredictable. And part of it is the wire stretching. Another part is the way wire layers on a coil. It's random. It varies from machine to machine. It varies from winding speed, tension, all that stuff. So ultimately, we ended up with the Fluence core, multi-voice electronics built into the pickup. I got some really, really good circuit designers here. And we also, more importantly, and I think this thing that makes Fluence really special is, you know, in our tradition, we don't design by the numbers. You certainly use math and engineering to get to a certain point, but, you know, we're designing tools for musicians. We're not designing toothbrushes. There's a big difference there. You can make the perfect toothbrush, but when you're designing an artistic tool, a tool for people to make musical art with, you gotta have that person involved. You gotta have the artist involved because there's things that you can't measure. You can't put your finger on. So the thing about Fluence that allows that process to really happen painlessly is the fact, since we're creating the resonant voices that give the pickup its character, and since we're controlling the output levels with our electronics, we can steer this pickup very easily. It's not like, oh gosh, we better put more turns of another gauge wire and hope it does this, and you know, oh, but that one didn't come out like this one. It's a maddening process using the old technology. This way, we have something that we can absolutely point at and hit dead on, and we can give you output levels and resonant peaks and low frequency roll-offs and high frequency roll-offs really precisely. But the thing that makes it really magical is we develop a voicing system that we can do it in real time with an artist in the room. So our Fluence design system is, now, I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying. There's nothing digital about these pickups. They're all analog electronics in here. But the development process, we developed a digital voicing system where we can mimic the analog filters that will ultimately go into the Fluence in a computer. And we can be plugged in with a very, very, very low latency interface. And we can say, okay, let's put this resonant peak at 4.5K and set the high pass and the low pass and the gain levels and the Q and so forth, and play while it's happening through a full rock and roll rig in the room at high volume where things really have to work, and play and tweak and adjust in real time until you hit that sweet spot. And there's always a sweet spot. You know, when you're designing something and designing a tool for a musician, I swear there's a sweet spot. And when you hit it, it's almost like being on the bandstand and having the drummer and the guitar player and the keyboard player really lock in and the shit's really moving. And you go, yeah, this is it. That's what happens with this design. And so we got some of the best guitar players we could find in the design process. And we tweaked and we stop, don't move, go, that's where we want it. So once we determine the parameters that we want and that they want, that session is really over. We take those parameters out of the computer, send it over to our electronics geniuses, and they reproduce it in a miniature analog circuit that gets turned into a circuit board and gets built into our Fluence system. So instant prototyping, instant design process, instant gratification. We talked to some guys that had been working on their signature models with other traditionally made pickup companies for a year and a half, and then been sampled 50 new wines, and still not getting there. And gee, this one, I can't remember what that one's, you know, it's a maddening process. So this is where we use our technology to really get a jump on things, not for the sake of the technology, but for really making things more musical and really solving some of those puzzles and those issues that have plagued, well, certainly electric guitar pickup manufacturers for so long.